Um, Driving back from a few days in New Orleans. Nice. How was that, Mary? Super fun. Hope you had a good time. That's cool.
I've
Great
never
trip.
been to New Orleans.
Okay. All right. Oh, Heidi's joining us. Let's get started, my friends. We're going to dive right in. Please participate as much as you'd like today and ask questions. We're going to hit some good stuff, and we're going to ask some questions that have already come in, and please add any additional questions that you have, and we'll kind of dive in some training and ideas, philosophies, about living a great life, my friend. I'm so excited right now. I'm just so excited. So if I'm hopefully can share some of the enthusiasm and excitement for life that I got going on right now, and hit some good stuff. And sweet, you guys saw alligators down there. That's super cool, Mary. Love that. So yeah, participate as much as you want in the chat or the microphone. We'll get rolling. But thanks for being here, everybody. Rachel and I think about you a lot, all the time. We're thinking about how we can serve you and help you, and we just love you guys. You're awesome people. And it's interesting, as we travel around the world a lot and I interact with people all the time, sometimes it shocks me when you run into people and you meet people who just are literally not intentional about life at all. And they just kind of don't care. They just have some apathy and indifference and this edge. And you're just like, no, like life can be so good. And I think of you guys, and you're all just trying so hard to like make a positive impact, live great lives and do great things. I'm just like, yes, you guys are our people. I love it. Janet had a snow day in Minneapolis. We got snow the other day too. I'm like, come on, it's supposed to be spring. It's supposed to be spring already. All right, so let's get rolling. First thing we want to talk about was, we got this question, and I love it. It was an excellent question. In fact, I'm going to read it to you if you guys don't mind. I'm going to read you the exact wording because I thought it just nailed it, and it was for clarification. What? Listening to parrots fly over your pond, Rochelle? Yeah, that is amazing.
Where's
I
that?
missed that. Yeah, where is that? I missed that. When we lived in Central America, man.
Yeah, we live in southern Brazil, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh man,
Whoever wants a view of the pond in our backyard. Cool. That's our backyard. Yeah.
That's cool. Beautiful. Okay, now we're jealous. That was awesome.
No. Lots of downsides too.
Well, everywhere you live, yeah, there's always something.
Exactly.
Okay, let me find this thing. I'm gonna find it right now. Hold on, give me a moment. I want to read it directly to you because it was so good. Oh, come on. Babe, do you remember what it was? I can't find it.
Nope. I'm not even sure I know what you're talking about.
Here it is. Got it. Boom. That only took way too long. Okay. So she said, hey, I got a question for you. What's the difference between necessary adaptation and cheaply justifying lower standards? And she's like, I read your quote about awesome is always an option. And honestly, that idea sometimes seems overwhelming to me. Can such a model really be achievable? When kids are screaming with hunger at 7:30, isn't toast and cereal the emergency dinner menu despite its lack of awesome sauce? She's like, did you see how I did that? Ha, I'm hilarious. She said, currently life, I feel that she's age 37, great husband, 4 kids. I strongly feel a need to adapt and use my time wisely to maximize our happiness and put the most important things first. But am I really justifying mediocrity? Not choosing awesomeness at every turn? Of course, my personal family awesomeness is something I constantly quantify and qualify, but is there a balance that I'm missing? Wow. Isn't that a great question and a great thought? I love this whole idea. So I wanted to start off today just talking about, what is this quest for awesomeness and the quest for awesome sauce, and where is that balance between like, okay, things are straight crazy here and we're just going to do the best we can, and the quest for awesome. So actually, can I ask you, I love doing this stuff, and I love when you guys are here. So I would love to get some answers and feedback here. Like, what's the right question for this? Like, why the quest for greatness? And where's that balance? Where's that drive? And I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings about it. You guys can jump on mic and share in the chat box. Like, how do you balance the quest for greatness and then just being happy and being content where you are with what you're doing?
And balancing the quest for greatness with accepting or adapting or just, being okay with what is too.
How do you do it, guys? Throw it out. Let's hear your thoughts and opinions. I want to hear this stuff.
Or if you don't say, how do you do it? What's your questions?
If you have questions around that, how do you balance that? How do you, and it almost kind of fits with the training, the video I did yesterday. Did you guys see the video I did about the balance between chaos and order? I love that idea.
Yeah, I think it definitely
order. Yeah, and we'll get, maybe that'll kind of fit in here. Maybe we'll talk about it today too. But we need order in our lives, and we need chaos in our lives. And I read this really old quote. It said, "Chaos brings life, but order brings habit." Right? We need order, and it gets us these results. And so we have order in our lives, but chaos kind of makes us feel alive sometimes, doesn't it? Or stressed, depending on how we respond to that. Some of you are like, no, I don't like chaos at all. Okay, so Heidi says, I try to let my focus and priorities, I think it auto-corrected to properties, or maybe Heidi has lots of properties that she's, the priorities, I'm guessing priorities there. She says, I let all my properties guide me. My focus and my priorities guide me. We can't do everything all the time, so we choose our battles each day. I love that. I love that. And I really think that's what Lillian was saying. She was like, hey, where am I using it as a cop-out to excuse, mediocre behavior, or do I love focus on my focus and my priorities? Okay, any other thoughts? I want to hear your thoughts. Rochelle says, quest for greatness tied into sainthood to my spirituality. Ooh, I love that. Like a deep spiritual kind of inner compass, right? Saints are just people that keep getting back up and are good examples. Ooh, I like that. I like that, Rochelle. Not perfect people, but people who just keep striving to be better. Okay, Stacy said, sometimes when you choose to go with something simple and maybe not optimal, like cereal for dinner, we are choosing a different kind of awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes cereal for dinner is awesome. Maybe in that moment, we are choosing peacefulness.
Yes.
That was a fist bump, by the way. I wasn't punching you, Stacy. I was like, fist bump. Like, take that. Yes, right? And that's actually really how I wanted to address Lillian's question and bring this up. Like, it's a different kind of awesome. And in that moment, you guys, peacefulness is the awesome. Right? Rachel and I, you guys know some of our story. We drove at one time. We drove from Alaska all the way to Panama. And we crossed a lot of borders.
5 kids.
And we had 5 kids in the car for a long time. And sometimes border crossings would take like, what, babe? 6, 7, 8 hours of just mayhem and disorderliness. And there's like no rhyme or reason to why they make you have a certain piece of paper and another one and another one.
No clue what's really going on.
And you don't have kids, and it's like sweltering hot and humid. And in those moments, we were just like, hey, whatever, like whatever we have to do to maintain peace here. And like anything, it was just, and it's those moments like
anything goes at that point. Just to maintain peace.
Just to maintain the peace and be like, and we would go into it mentally like, okay, this is going to be crazy. And it's not going to be the funnest experience we've ever had, but like you do what you got to do. I love that. Good. Great thoughts. Anything else?
So that's a really great point. And that was kind of where I wanted to make sure to talk about that too, because when we're talking about, awesome is always an option, reach upward, all this stuff, sometimes maybe we get this vision in our head of every night we have a gourmet dinner sitting around the table, everybody's peaceful and happy and, the day is perfect. But that's not what it's about. And I think this is a very good point. Awesome is always an option means even when it's chaotic, even when things are crazy, even when, you know, everything's not perfect, which is most of the time, like you're choosing the most awesome option at the moment. And that might be the cereal. That might be, you know, whatever it is. Like the point is just to think, okay, is this the best option I have right now? Or is there something else? And that doesn't mean putting on yourself this pressure of some perfect vision of, you know, the perfect world.
Love it. Babe, you're so wise.
Oh, thank you.
Oh. Okay, can I share some stories? You guys up for some stories? I think that they just will hit home, that just hit for me. So how many of you have read The Count of Monte-Cristo? Anybody read that one? Oh man, have you seen the movies? Anybody seen the movie? Come on, somebody give me something. All right, a couple people have seen the movie. All right, we know the story, right? So Edmond Dantes gets blackmailed and he gets thrown into the Chateau d'If, which is an island prison off the coast of Marseille. And
we tried to go there.
Well, that's the story I'm going with, babe.
Oh,
that's the story I'm going with. So
I thought you were going to talk about Count of Monte Cristo.
Well, yeah, even in there. So I'm going to there too, right? Because he gets in there and he's sitting in prison, and you guys, he sits in prison for like years. He's sitting there for years, just wallowing in his misery and his hate. And then one day, all of a sudden, somebody digs into his cell, and he's like, "What is this?" And this guy comes in, and it's Abbe Faria, right? And it's this priest. And this priest had been in prison for a long time, right? And he meets this priest, and it turns out that this priest, instead of sitting there wallowing in his prison cell, you know, bemoaning himself, throwing a pity party, he's been learning languages and reading books and asking the guards for books and training himself in martial arts and staying fit and healthy and scheming ways to escape. And he becomes Dante's, he becomes his mentor. And I think that for me right there was like, even in prison, and I know this is a fictional story, but even in prison, he was making the most of whatever opportunity he had. And he was actually writing. He kept asking the guards for paper, and he'd like bribe them for paper and stuff. And he ended up writing like a whole book, and he becomes Dante's mentor, and he has him read all these great classic books, and he teaches him languages, and he teaches him fencing and martial arts and self-defense, and he teaches him all this stuff. That then when they do escape, it allows Dantes to become the Count. And he becomes really wealthy and refined, and he becomes a great leader, and he actually makes a difference. And the book, despite, you know, common belief, the book is not about revenge. It's about justice and development and like changing himself. So he was a poor sailor, and he just becomes this incredible human being that's so well developed and refined, right? But so anyways, that's just kind of a side note of like, even in the worst circumstances, you can do that. And we learned that from great books like The Hiding Place and Man's Search for Meaning, where Viktor Frankl, he said, even in the worst concentration camps, we still could be kind. And we still would share the tiny, meager amount of food we have. We'd still share it with others who are worse off. And we'd still help each other. We still had this bond. Right. And we just got back from a World War II trip, and there were so many heroic stories of that even in the worst conditions, at the threat of death and torture and suffering, there was still kindness and still risks to help other human beings. It was so special. So I want to tell our personal story here. Nice, Rochelle. Rochelle said, this morning my 6-year-old had a crazy tantrum that wasn't awesome, but I did stay calm and hold him till it passed, and that was awesome. That right there is a perfect example of awesome is always an option. I love that. I love that. Okay, so there I was. There we was, all of us. I had dreamt for years of going to the Chateau d'If, right? I wanted to go there so bad, the actual place. And so we rented a house in southern France. We get everything arranged. We're so excited. We all get up early. We load in the car. We drive all the way to Marseille. We get out. We get to the dock. We have to walk all from parking. We get over there. We're just like, this is like bucket list day. Bucket list day. Like, we're going out as a family to the Chateau d'If, right? And I'm so stoked. And you can see the island out there, and I can just feel it. And we walk over, and they're like, sorry, the seas are rough today. No ferries. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no ferries? Like, you're going to wait an hour or two and then like, we'll go? They're like, no ferries. Nothing's happened. We're not going to the island today.
And that was the only day we were in Marseille, because then we were going to Italy.
And what's that other country? Monaco. We went to Monaco and then Italy. It was awesome. That was my one shot. And so I got a little bit irritated because that's not awesome of me. So I was irritated and then the kids were kind of grumpy. I'm like, hey, what should we do? And we start walking around and we all start kind of bickering and it ends up being, it was supposed to be this amazing bucket list day. And now we're just kind of walking around Marseille kind of grumpy.
We didn't know what else to do because we didn't have anything else planned. And so we're just walking around like nobody knows what to do. None of us can make a decision.
So it gets a little irritable. The kids are starting to fuss with each other and fight, and we're just kind of not in a happy place. And then we're walking along, and this woman comes walking towards us. And she was completely hunched over. Her body was misshapen. Her feet were all wrapped up and bandaged. And she was literally, I don't know if I can show you guys this, but she was so hunched over like this, and she could barely walk and move. And she was trying to cross the road. And it was this immediate wake-up call for all of us. And so I took her hand and we helped her cross over, and she was just shaking violently. And we helped her sit down. She only spoke Arabic. Where was she from, babe? Armenia, I think?
Something like that, yeah.
Down there. She was a refugee, had fled for her life. We got bits and pieces. She was hungry. She was just hurting. And so we just, like, everything changed. And we shifted away from our little pathetic disturbances. And I went to the ATM to get some money. We were going to buy her some food and some things. My son, I look back, and my son, who was 13 at the time, I think, was sitting there with his arm around her shoulders, holding her hand. And I was just like, oh yes. Like, and it changed everything for us. And it was just this perspective change and this paradigm shift. They're like, oh, hey, wait a minute. Okay, so things weren't working out. Things weren't going well, but like awesome's always an option. And it was a chance to shift the feeling and the patterns we were in and where we were heading that day, to just stop and say, no. And like for our whole family, still for the kids, you ask the kids, they're like, that was a special day. And it just shifted everything for us by just getting out of our current perspective. So I love that story. And I love things like that because it can shift it up and just, we kind of catch ourselves and say, whoa, wait a minute. Like, where am I going? What are we doing here? And we can shift that up. So again, I love that experience, and it helped all of us have a shift in our mindset and in our emotions. Okay. So how can we, I guess so one of the things I just want to talk about today then is ask, like, how can we remember that? Well, actually, where do we struggle being awesome? Where do we struggle keeping the awesome sauce going? Or babe, go ahead.
That's what I was going to say, is that type of story, I think, is a perfect illustration of what we want to try and create in our daily experiences. Now, obviously, it's a lot easier when something happens like that. When we have some sort of experience like that, it's a lot easier to make those shifts. But the key is to learn how to make similar shifts on a daily basis, if necessary. You know, when there's the tantrums, when there's the fighting, when there's the arguing, when there's the disagreements, like, how do we make those type of perspective shifts so that we remember what's most important? Because that's what it did. It helped us to remember, wait, and even our kids, like my oldest daughter at the time, she was like in tears crying to me Like, I can't believe we were like complaining about this stuff. Like, we have such a great life. We have food. We get to travel, like all these things. We have this great life. And here we were bickering with each other over stupid things. And this poor lady, like it's this perspective shift. How we have to learn how to create similar experiences like that in a small way, because obviously it's not going to be a big way, on a daily basis, if that's what we need. And so that's obviously the challenge, right? But that's kind of the basis or the principle behind awesome is always an option. It's this idea of having the right perspective of where we are in our life. And this is where it gets kind of challenging too, because like Greg was talking about in the chaos and order video, if you haven't watched that, you should go watch it. But all of life is kind of this dichotomy. It's kind of like the two sides of the coin. There's the chaos and there's the order. There's the gratitude and there's the discontent. There's, what you want to create in your life and being grateful for what you already have in your life. Like, you have to learn how to do both. And that's something that's very difficult, I think, to do, because as people, we want to be kind of polarized. Like, we want to be like one way, like this is how I am. Like, I'm driven, I'm going to go for my goals, and that's it. But you have to learn how to be like both sides of the coin. It's kind of an interesting concept to comprehend, but that's essentially what it is. And for us, awesome is always an option is kind of that embracing those two sides of the coin. So yeah, there's an ideal you have in your head. There's an ideal you want to create. But then the other side of the coin is the acceptance of what is right now and learning how to see it in a good perspective, learning how to manage it the best you can. Like this, Rochelle's example is perfect with her 6-year-old. Maybe you have an ideal of where you want to go with what you're teaching and everything with your children, what you want your family to become like. But in the moment, the awesome option is, staying calm and dealing with that right then. So is that making sense?
Love it. Love this stuff. Okay, 2 things. Can I do this? Let's make it real. Let's get real right now. Okay. This is a safe, awesome group here. So what I want everyone to consider, write down, or depending if you're driving or whatever, but like think about, write down, what's your biggest pain point right now? What's your biggest frustration? If I say, hey, where's the pain point? Where's the irritation? Where's the frustration right now in your life? You could probably all point to something. Like, where's that? I want you to think about that. Where's the pain point right now? And it changes. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes it'll be a certain kid that's in a funk. Sometimes the marriage. Sometimes it's the circumstances. Sometimes it's the finances or the work. Like, where's the pain point right now? And if any of you are willing to share, just throw it in the chat box. What's that?
In your head, if not.
Oh yeah, you don't have to share. But if anybody's willing to share, I'm sure if you share, everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, I get, because we're all in this together, you guys. So, where's the biggest pain point right now? Say, yeah, for some of you, it's gonna be in your marriage right now. That's totally fine. We all have been through that, right? And if you haven't, you will. But I'm sure you all have. What else? Finances, okay? And not having a good plan. And thanks, Stacy. That's where I wanted to go. We're gonna hit that. So, and isn't that the most painful, you guys? That I think is the most painful experience for intentional and deliberate people who are really trying to get better. Is like, here's my pain, and what even hurts worse is I don't know what to do about it.
Well, I don't know. I might disagree with that, because I was actually going to say
my biggest pain point is when I say something I think's good, and Rachel's like, no, that's not a good idea.
I disagree. I was going to say, I think sometimes knowing where you want to go and having a plan, then sometimes the biggest pain point comes when progress is not made fast enough. That can also be very painful.
Okay, that one is.
You know the steps, you know where you're going, but you just don't have like there's only, one of you, or there's two of you, or however many are working on your goals. You don't have like a whole team to help you get this done, the nanny and the cook and the social media manager and, all these things. It can be painful to make slow progress.
Ooh, so true. In fact, if I were to share mine, that's probably my biggest pain point right now. Wanting to move a lot faster than we're the slow pace we're crawling right now. Ooh. Okay, so finances, I'm going to keep reading from the list here. Time management, cooperation from kids to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And personal procrastination and fears. And I would bet in this group that a lot of us are still wrestling with some self-doubt that comes in and sabotages our best efforts. Right? We doubt ourselves as parents, as spouses, as, if you want to do something in work and you're just like, I know I need to do this, but geez, I can't even muster enough courage to do it. I'm doubting myself. When the plan doesn't seem to work, that is super painful.
Mm-hmm.
Possible support for my dreams, energy for what matters most because I wear so many hats. Yeah, Eve, that's a big one too. And I'm sure in this group, there's my alarm going off for the day. You remind me, I hope you guys all have your alarm sets, right? You still have your alarms going off? Anyone? Okay, a couple of you. Make sure you got your alarms going off. Those things need to be going off every day. I know they're annoying and they interrupt your meetings, but you're like, you got to remember what you're doing. The energy, and I was doing some coaching yesterday about this very thing, Eve, how, especially when we're in lots of hats and we have lots of roles, we end up giving out so much energy to different things. And literally our thoughts have energy and our words expend energy. And then all of our actions expend energy. And sometimes we feel like we're just putting out fires all the time and dealing with this and that and the other. And you're exhausted. How many of you experienced this? You're exhausted by midday and you haven't even done anything that was your priority for the day. You ever done that? And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, I feel like I'm spent. I should be going to bed right now. And I haven't even worked on my priority yet. Like, what gives, right? You're like, this is just so wrong. And that's when the chaos piece like drives you nuts and you need more order, right? Okay, so here's the second piece of this. And I want to do with the chaos order thing, but here's the second piece. You all have your pain point, okay? You all have your pain point right now. In the context of what Rachel and I were just talking about, what's something you can do to either maintain perspective in that pain point, or B, like actually something to alleviate the pain? What's something you can do about it? And I know I'm asking a pointed question here, but I want you to really like take a moment here and be like, okay, what can be done about it? In some situations, like it may be that the only thing you can do is to decide to have inner peace anyways. There may not be outside things you can do about it, but you can decide not to go crazy. But for some of you, I think you're going to get an idea right now and you're going to go, oh, wait a minute. Like, what's my pattern interrupter? When something triggers me, what's my intentional trigger, like the counter trigger? If that makes sense. Like when you get triggered by something, when that pain point is happening, what can you intentionally do about it to like, whoa, I'm not going there. And I'd love to hear some thoughts here and some ideas, because this is going to help inspire all of us to be proactive in our problems. Because I love to teach and train, like wherever there's pain, there's power. Wherever there is pain, there is power. And very often, the thing that's most painful is the thing where there's the most potential. And I know that seems counterintuitive, kind of crazy, because you're like, no, I just want the pain to go away, right? It's enough with the pain. But where there's pain, there's power and there's potential. So what can you do to be more proactive about the pain and the problem?
I want to give people a chance to talk, but I do have some thoughts. Oh, ST says check in with a friend, get some empathy and perspective. Yeah, that's good.
Can I chime in there before your comments and Rach for ST? That can be amazing. Having a friend that can give you some empathy and perspective is a gigantic resource. And sometimes we need a cheerleader and we're like, I just need to talk to somebody that says, hey, you got this. It's all good. And you're like, okay, I got it out. You just need to say it sometimes. You're like, I got it. I do have to give a warning with that one. Some of you have friends that you call with your problems and all they're going to do is like, oh, you poor thing. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, and it turns into a pity party and it doesn't help you. And you go, yeah, they understand me, but it doesn't help. Like, it doesn't solve any problems. And sometimes it actually aggravates the problem. And so you call your girlfriends or you get together with your buddies and you're like, oh man, you know, my wife, she does this, or my husband, and now, oh yeah, that's terrible. No. And it ends up being this trash it down and you walk back with like, well, I'm no better off. I am no better off. So on that one, just a warning. I hope you all have friends like that. I hope you can come to this group like that. Even if you want to come to the Facebook group and be like, guys, today sucked. And here's why. Because we've been there, we've been in the suck, and we're going to give you some empathy, but nobody in here is going to be like, oh, you poor thing, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it sucks to be you. And you're like, it's not going to happen. We're going to be like, oh yeah, we understand. I've been through that's tough. Man, you got this. And we can cheer you on, encourage you. So make sure like you have a cheerleader, but you also have somebody there to like support you in a healthy way. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's a super important point. Okay, Rach, you're up, babe.
So again, back to this idea here. I like to beat like a dead horse, I guess. I think that is kind of the point when you're talking about how can you be proactive? Like, what can you do about it? Again, the one side, sometimes you just have to accept. Sometimes you just have to be calm. Sometimes you just get out the cereal for dinner or whatever. But then the other side of that, the other side of the coin is thinking, okay, what is causing this? Is this something that's happening regularly? You know, are we always having cereal for dinner because I'm always stressed at the end of the day or whatever it is, you know? Asking yourself what's causing this, and then that's when the proactivity can come in of, okay, if this is something that's happening regularly, what can I do to fix it or change it? And I think that's where the awesome is always an option comes in. It's one side just accepting it, dealing with it in the moment, but then on the other side, thinking about not in the moment, because that's not a good time to try and fix it. In the moment is like the worst time to try and fix something. But to think about it at another time, to be proactive, to be intentional and think, okay, what can I do before we get to those moments to change it? What can I do? You guys have seen the pyramid, right? We talked about the pyramid. Like the top of the pyramid is dealing with things that are going wrong in the moment, and the bottom of the pyramid is helping things to go right. So when we're talking about awesome is always an option, you know, yeah, in the moment when you're dealing with it, be awesome, be calm, get the cereal out, whatever needs to happen. But the rest of the time, when it's not the chaos, when you can have some order, think about how you want to change getting to that moment of chaos, or getting to that, you know, changing the tantrums or changing the meal schedule, and, you know, like creating more of what you want, more of your ideal. That happens by working on the bottom part of the pyramid, that helping things to go right. That was my thought.
Love it. Thanks. Yeah, the piece of getting proactive. So let's have a few of you share. What's a tool? And here's my ideal today, you guys, is every one of you walks away with another tool, a tool that you can use like proactively when there's some pain. Like literally you walk away and you're like, hey, I've got another tool in my tool bag here. I've got something that I can do, instead of just sitting here going, oh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. It doesn't stop. I hate this. Instead of that, like, oh, I've got something I can do. So let's share. What are your thoughts? What are your epiphanies? Any ahas here? Oh, go ahead.
I keep emphasizing, or the other side of, accepting it and allowing it, but that also, like, that can become unawesome if you keep doing that all the time. And we've met people like that, especially like a lot of traveling families when we go, like, they get to the point where they just accept and allow anything and everything. That's also that can also be unhealthy. So again, I'm trying to bring out both sides. Yeah, there is a place and a time for that. But if then that's all you do and you're never proactive in trying to create something different or change it or whatever, then yeah, then that's less awesome option, right?
Yeah, none of us wants to throw in the towel. In fact, we probably all have, though. Like, oh yeah, I threw that towel in long ago, and I can't even find the towel anymore. But we meet people like that constantly who in one area of their life or the other have completely given up, and that's sad because we all have so much more power than we think we do.
Yeah, they think that there's not room for improvement. They think that there's not room for change, and we've seen it in all areas of life, whether it's marriage, finances, parenting. And I know you've talked about this before. I don't know if you have a video about it, but it's essentially this idea of when you feel that way, a lot of people will say, well, this is just how life is. This just must be how raising kids is, or it's just what marriage is like, or this is just what the amount of money I can earn, and that's it. And what's happened is you've actually reached the top of your current skill set. And you think this is reality, this box, when really there's a whole nother reality outside of that, but you have to gain brand new skills you don't currently have. You have to gain those skills, and then you break out of that box. And we've done the little stair diagram, then you reach a new level on a new stair, and that's when things change. And that's kind of what we're talking about here is, yeah, if you're down here on this lower stair, okay, in the moment, accept it and deal with it. But don't forget there's more stairs, there's more levels. And that's ultimately where you're going, whether that's with the marriage or the parenting or the finances. Like, there's more levels. There's always more levels. Always. I don't think like you could reach the end of your life and you would never run out of levels.
So there's always another skill set, another action step, somewhere we can keep growing. You guys, I just was sitting here in awe for a minute. We got people from Guatemala on right now, and in Brazil, and all the way up in Alaska, and all the way out in Georgia. This is so cool. I love this stuff. Okay, so let's share. What are some proactive steps, some tools? What are some things we can do to either maintain perspective or take proactive action on our biggest pain points? What are our biggest pain points? What can we do about them? I'd love to hear some thoughts.
Baleen and Rochelle have a couple in the chat box.
So set an alarm, another alarm, Baleen. Ah, yeah. Okay, alarm's going off all day long. Oh man, this thing. You're gonna throw your phone out the window. But no, we can have reminders so it's in front of us. A lot of us suffer from this out of sight, out of mind syndrome where we're so busy. We have so much going on. You feel like you don't have the bandwidth. And literally an alert can just be enough to trigger like, oh yeah, I need to get back working on that. That can be enough. Rochelle said, downloaded a Sacred Space app for a quick prayer time. Taking a few minutes to exercise. So yeah, so just stop to meditate or pray. Just literally you could pause and be like, I need some quiet space. And you guys, I read this awesome book. I highly recommend it. It's called The Powerful Engagement. This guy was studying the most elite athletes in the world. And his whole thing was on energy. And so Eve, you'd love this one. I think I mentioned it to you before. It's all on raising your energy levels and how our energy is renewable. And he was studying the best tennis players in the world. And he put monitors on them. And in between, I don't even know the words in tennis, but like in between sets, I think, like they only had like 30 seconds. They put monitors on them, and they said with their mind, they were able to drastically decrease their heart rate in between sets. They had trained themselves to go back in between serves and lower their heart rate by like 15 or 20 pulse rates, right?
Beats
like
per second.
Beats. Yeah, it was amazing. And he says same thing. He's like, you and I can do the same thing. we can pause and we can have this recovery, and it can be in 30 seconds. We can just calm our mind, all the chatter in our mind and the emotion in our hearts. Just boom. And you can come back to it now with the right set. So you can, what Brendan Burchard says, release the tension and then set the intention. So in a transition moment, you can release the tension and set the intention. I love that idea. I love it. So yeah, take a few minutes to exercise or stretch. Some of you like yoga and literally just get down to a couple of breathing exercises or a few yoga poses. Or you can actually do the like, have you guys heard of Wim Hof breathing exercises? We all ought to do one. Oh, we should do one. I should train you guys in a Wim Hof breathing exercise. Oh, this is so good. Okay, so breathing exercise. I'm going to make a note of that. Maybe we'll do it. Like you'll find like the highest performers in the world are doing constant, like intense breathing exercises. You take 30 seconds to 2 minutes of intense breathing exercises, and it just shifts your whole being. It's awesome. If I don't have time to walk away to breathe, think of something cute like a fluffy bunny. Not kidding. Yep. And if you need to go buy a fluffy bunny, do it. Whatever it takes. If you need to go get a kitten or a puppy or something to keep things in perspective, get a cute animal. No, it's true. It works, right? Because you're just distracting your mind. You're getting some perspective. Well,
and again, I want back to this idea with the story you told in Marseille of this paradigm shift, like this change in our perspective. Sometimes that is a very useful technique that we should use more with our kids. Like if they're in some sort of mode, switch their paradigm. If that takes a fluffy bunny, great. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to do that. It doesn't mean you have to ignore it or just pretend it's not happening, whatever, but you're literally creating a mind shift. So then it is easier to talk about it. Like it's way easier to talk about it once you get out, because there's these chemicals that are being released in your brain and your body. And if you can switch those chemicals, it makes it easier to talk about the situation. And I know, especially with teenagers, they are more reasonable when they get the positive chemicals in their body instead of the negative ones. I mean, anytime we talk to our daughter when she's upset, she's not, thinking clearly. But as soon as she's calmed down, she's saying exactly what we would say to her. But she's saying it herself, and we don't have to say anything except, yeah, you're right. You're very smart. So,
it's the awesome way to handle teenage daughters, man. Because if you say things when you're upset and they're upset, good luck with that. But if you let things settle, like we love it. Rachel and I love this. Kaya will get so upset about something. We're like, okay, we'll just listen. Yeah. Oh, and you guys don't know anything. Yeah, we know. Oh, I know. And we'll just keep our peace. And then like a day or two later, she'll come in our bedroom. She'll sit down on the floor and she's like, hey guys, I was thinking. And she just, this beautiful, beautiful like speech. And we're like, yes. And like, we don't have to say anything because she'll come back and be like, I was totally wrong. You were right. And this, as hard as for me to say that, I'm sorry. And, and we're like, yeah. But we found that every time we don't and we say something, then she holds on to it. So great. Yeah,
but again, it's that idea of shifting the energy, shifting the mind. Like you're trying to a pattern interrupt, like Greg was saying. Like that's what you want to create. You want to create some sort of pattern interrupt that stops whatever's happening, whatever this track is we're in or our kids are in, and shifting that just so that you change the energy and the chemicals and the emotions, if nothing else, so that then you can come back to it with more of the right feelings that are going to create positive results.
Nice. Let's see. So I'm gonna read some more things here in the box. Love the 5-second rule. There's a TED Talk and a book by Mel Robbins on that. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And it says in our last session, we put up a family vision board right by our door for us to see when we leave. The reminder has been great. Yes. I love that, right? It's in front of us all the time. And when we have things up right in front of our faces, it's this tremendous reminder of what we're about. And you can do that, like if you set up your family culture or family motto. So we were talking about this idea of having a few words that's like your family, they're your family words, right? And keep it really simple. So it's one word and it's just a few of them that like those are your go-to words for your family culture. What were some of the main examples that they said that most families come back to? Like peace, respect, joy, love, kindness. There are things like that. And you put them up around the house. And we were sitting here as a whole family saying, what are our words? What do we want our words to be? And one of our kids was like, let's just use the word reach upward and come up with words that turn it into an acronym. And so we sat down as a family and it's way more complicated than you guys need to be. Like it was way, way too much. It was like way overkill, but the kids loved it because
they wanted to do that.
They wanted it. They're like, we say that all the time. Let's give it meaning. And so we went through with every letter and reach upward and we gave it meaning. And so now as we go around our family, if there's any kind of fighting or disrespect, we say, hey guys, remember reach upward. And it all clicks for them. They know exactly what it means. And then Rachel printed out this beautiful thing with each of the words and the meaning, and we put it up in the living room. And it's right in front of the family, like reminding us to, pattern interrupt here. Like if there's contention or bickering or negativity, like how can we stop that? We catch ourselves in the moment. And I know you guys, I hope you can see how powerful this is. Like if we have these little moments, these little perspectives, these little pattern interrupters, like it literally transforms the course of our lives, but on a daily basis. These little actions made daily, they end up being huge. They're being huge. Is this helpful? Make sense? Relevant? Sweet. Do you guys feel like doing jumping jacks or is it just me? I'm on it. Must be me. Okay. So I want to share, Stacy wrote in here, she says, I need to set aside time to implement marketing techniques. Okay. I've created lots of things to sell, but don't promote them regularly. I think this is one of the best tools I currently have for changing my financial situation, but it's very uncomfortable for me. Bam. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad you wrote that in there because I suspect, in fact, raise your hands if you're on there. How many of you something you know you need to do or want to do, but it's pretty uncomfortable, either intimidating or doubtful, and you're like, yeah, I haven't done it yet. Okay. And as I've been thinking about you, and you guys are all sending me messages and emails all the time, I'm getting all this stuff in, and I've been thinking about it. I'm like, there's just one piece here that fits with what we're talking about that we need to take. We need to take the meter and turn it up. And we can describe that as raising a sense of urgency or necessity. Now, this won't work for all of you. It won't work for all of you. But for some of you who are stuck right now and you know what you need to do and you could do it, but you just haven't gotten to it, maybe there's some procrastination or a little bit of fear or something. Today, right now, I just want you to take this dial, your pattern interrupt, your kind of thing is going to take your dial and just turn that baby up. And to where you feel a sense of urgency and necessity to do it. Okay. And I guess I want to ask, because you each have to set up your own thing. I could be like right now, like, come on, you have to do this thing, right? And you're like, well, whatever. But you have to like set up your own level of necessity. Like, how are you going to raise necessity for you? Like, and I guess another way to put it is like, how are you going to take this more seriously? And what's happening is if there's something you know you need to do, how do you raise that necessity? How do you actually make that happen? So Stacy, we'll use your example. Like, what marketing things almost is like, okay, it has to happen this week. What marketing things will be done no matter what by Saturday night? Right?
Well, and that's definitely the one side of it is just picking something and saying, okay, I have to do this. But I think the other side of what you're talking about is raising the level of necessity is on a bigger picture, like what is the consequence? What's the outcome if you don't achieve the goals you want? And I know for Greg and I, like all the crazy things that we've done with our life, like, which have been amazing, we did them because we felt this sense of necessity of we have to live a great story. Like living an okay life is not okay for us. And, you know, Greg says all the time, he's like, his greatest fear is mediocrity. His greatest fear is living an okay life. So that sense of necessity, that sense of purpose, like drives us to do the things that we do. And you have to have kind of this sense of purpose. Like what's going to be the outcome if you don't do these things you say you want to do? Think about that. And if that, like, it should hopefully like frighten you a little bit. And then that's what you have to think about when you're like, well, I need to do some marketing, but I'm not. Like, what's going to be the outcome if you don't? Like, if you don't do these things to make these goals happen, you're going to end up living the life you don't want to live. And that's not okay for me.
Can you guys feel that? Whoa. Like all of you right now, just kind of go into your mind palace and say, what's the outcome here if I don't take action? What's the outcome if, because we all talked about, those of you who came in a little bit at the very beginning, we talked about pain points. Like what's the biggest pain point in your life right now? What's the outcome if you don't take proactive action on the pain point? And yeah, Rochelle reminded about, I made a video about having a moral obligation, like to take action on it. And you guys, can you feel that? I'm trying to like, we're trying to raise the necessity here. So you have this feeling of like, I have to do this.
Well, kind of along with what Janet is saying here, like I've felt kind of that fear or that hesitation with being more active, being more visible. But I remember that Greg and I were listening to something, some audiobook or something, and he was basically saying that at some point in your journey of growth and progression and you know everything you're trying to create and do, at some point you reach a point where you can no longer learn and grow enough by just studying about it. You have to take action, and at some point you have to share it. Like there literally is this point on the journey where you have to start sharing or your progress has stopped. And I remember like feeling this, like, I'd rather just live my quiet little life, you know, with my family. Like that's all I want. I don't want to like be out there, some person out, you know, I'm not like Greg. He's the extrovert. I'm the introvert. Like I want to be just at home doing my thing. I don't want to have to be out there like sharing a message or teaching or whatever. But when I heard that, like it just hit me like to the core of like, at some point I have to share. It's like he's saying almost, it's this moral obligation, like for my own growth, for one thing, but then because I'm going to influence people. I'm going to like make a difference in some people's life, and maybe I'm the only one who can do it. So like it's part of this mission idea of I need to live my mission, and that is a part of it. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's going to have this mission of, you know, whatever it is. But at some point, I think, man, I think I need some water. At some point, everybody needs to share whatever it is they're learning in order to continue growing and progressing, whether that's in just your local community, whether that's online, whether that's with, Instagram, podcasting, writing. You have to share at some point. And essentially, when you learn about sales and marketing, that's all sales and marketing is. It's just sharing.
All right. Okay. Oh, man. Are you guys feeling this? I wish we were all together right now. We were like, a few shakes and bear hugs and like, let's get on this thing. I get a sense, and I think this is true for all of us. I think every one of us has something we know we need to work on, and we need to take action, a pain point we need to take action on, or something we know we need to do, but we haven't been doing it. We're hesitating, we're afraid, we're intimidated, we're just too busy. It hasn't been enough of a priority. So I'd like to make an invitation right now, and I'm gonna write every one of them down, and we're gonna follow up with each other. We're gonna have some accountability here to the group. So I want everybody to pick one thing that you're gonna do. Like, and this is your thing. So like, integrity on the line here. I want you to commit to something you know you're gonna do, something that it has to happen. And we're going to share it. And I'm going to write this down. We're all going to have it. And I know some of you are getting nervous right now just by me saying that. You're like, no, don't make me do it. But like, we have to take action. If you and I, if we meet up here twice a month and we talk about all these things we should do and we don't do them, we're not helping ourselves. And I just love you guys too much to just talk about it and not have you do it. Right? The last thing any of us ever wants is to have days pass, then weeks, then months, then years. And we're like, hey, how's it going? Well, I'm still feeling hesitant about doing that. And so to get results, we have to take action. Okay. No, we didn't do the breathing yet. I'll do it. Well, hey, we can end with the breathing. I'll do it, Eve. I'll do the breathing one.
Rochelle has a great question. I think you should. You want to do that right now or later?
Say what?
Michelle has a great question.
Okay. How do you react or deal with people that have just given up, or the whole that's just the way it is attitude, especially when there are people who are close? Yeah, that's extremely tough. And sometimes we'll have a spouse do that, or a child do that. A child just check out. Sometimes a parent or a sibling or a friend or family member, they just check out. And again, like it literally goes right with what we're saying here, Rochelle, of like raising necessity, like somehow adroitly, which means like tactfully, skillfully, somehow getting that person to raise their own necessity by choice, to like choose to opt back in and say, you know what, this matters. And maybe it's what we just did with you guys is like, hey, if you just check out, what's the end result? What's the outcome of you staying on this course? Like, and when you realize that, it's just a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, a lot of frustration. And so like, we got to turn that back on and help them opt back in, like choose to be back in the game and get back excited again. I love working with people like that. That's like my favorite thing to tell. I love it because you're like, okay, when you just decide like life just stinks and then you die, and what's the point?
Which is a lot of your family members.
Oh yeah, my family's totally like that. They literally like, what's the point? Life just sucks. Then you die. Doesn't matter. Why even try? I tried once. Why even try? And just total defeatist, right? And I love working with that. Just try to bring back fire in life.
Well, I think a lot of times people have that belief and attitude because maybe they've experienced disappointment. Maybe they've gotten their hopes up about something before and it didn't work out. Maybe that's all they've seen. Maybe those are the only examples they've seen in their life of people trying to do things and then it doesn't work out. And so sometimes it's a matter of just increasing the level of belief.
Yep.
Maybe through reading. I know for us, for Greg and I, that was a big thing because we were not surrounded, like we didn't grow up with people who had been pursuing their dreams and achieving their dreams. That was not our reality. but
In fact,
we
we grew up around people who poo-poo dreams, and they
right.
did it last week, and we got together with our family, and we're talking about goals and dreams, and they were ridiculing us and mocking us and telling us how stupid we are.
And that we live in a dream world. And
that used to hurt us, and now I'm like, yes, I love this stuff. Like, bring it, because this is crazy.
But sometimes you just, like, the way we built our belief was through reading or hearing other stories, like watching other stories, like seeing other people do it to like achieve their dreams, whatever they are. That builds your belief. And when you get enough exposure to that and those ideas, then there's something in it, because I think it's all in there. It's all innate. Like, we all have this natural, that's why, you know, Greg says reach upward all the time. Like, we all have that in us, and the only reason we're not living that or you know, expressing that in our lives is because we're squelching it. But if we allow ourselves to believe even a little bit by seeing somebody else who's done it, over time, we just can't help but let it out, because it is in there. So I would find a way to expose them to inspirational stories that can help build belief.
Yep. Yeah, bring back that spark. Get them to believe and then opt in. I love that. Okay, so let's have everyone. I want one action step, and preferably an action step that's going to help you with the current pain point. So Janet, I would like, I'm going to call it out here. Like, I want you to go live, maybe today. Yeah, I know. All of you, I'm coming. You all get your turn here. I want you going live. So give me a date in the chat by a deadline when you're going live, and you're going to report back to us in the Facebook group. Stacy, you got some marketing. You got something to do to market your product before Saturday. Can you do that? Okay, what is it specifically? I want everyone, it's coming. Estee, what's your, Estee, I got it. Sorry, I got that. Estee, what's yours? Rochelle? Baleen, you got all kinds of VA skills. Like, you need to talk to somebody before Saturday and offer your services. Okay? Like, oh, well, I'm just picking one, but you'll know your thing. Everyone do your thing. I don't want to go around picking things for you guys. But what's your thing? What are you going to do? Eve, Kathleen, Lindsay, Diana, Kristen, Rachel? What's the thing?
I'm on vacation. What you talking about?
No, you don't. There's never vacation from education and growth and learning and progress. Okay, let's see. Michelle's doing a demo version of the song by May 5th. Okay, may I ask you a follow-up question? Why so far away? Can you do it before then? I don't know, I'm putting some pressure on there, but.
That's what he does.
I love doing this stuff. This guy emailed me the other day and he said, Greg, I'm so excited. I'm so stoked. He says, we finally have a crystal clear 10-year plan to where our family can begin traveling. And I wrote right back and be like, what in the world is keeping you 10 years? What could you do so you could reach your 10-year goal next year? And he wrote back and was like, I never even thought about it. What? And I gave him some ideas and stuff, and now he's working on a 12 to 18 month plan. Right? Okay, April 30th. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm writing this down. I'm writing all this stuff down, you guys. We're going to follow up. I want you to report to us. So, Rochelle, demo song, April 30th. Okay, let's see what else we got. Yeah, you could sing it to us or perform it for us, however the song is. Okay, Janet's going live tomorrow. Okay, yeah, sweet. Hey, loud kids or not. Okay, loud kids or not, man. And sometimes it's cool to just be raw and be like, look, I was planning this perfect live, but my kids are making tons of noise. So now you know that for reals, I have kids. Okay. So, yeah, Eve, thanks, Eve. So we're talking about action steps we can take towards managing the pain point. So whatever the pain point is, like it's being proactive. Like, what's something we can do proactively in the next little bit here, like to actually take action on the pain point. And we will do the breathing thing. I'm going to show you the breathing thing before we end up. I will do the breathing thing. You guys are going to love it. It's good. Okay, come on. That's all. I only have 3 written down here, people.
That's your thing.
You're killing me. Come on.
The breathing thing.
Oh, that's your thing. The breathing is your thing. Okay. Then Eve, I'm going to give you to do. Okay, Eve, I'm breathing thing. I'm going to teach that. I want you to do it twice a day at least. Breathing. Okay. Sweet. Okay, I got 4. Keep them coming, you guys. Come on. What are you going to do?
You know what I'm doing.
What are you going to do?
Tweaking our funnel.
Okay.
Ads.
So Rachel is adjusting funnel ad. Okay. When are you going to have that done by, babe? Yes, Stacy. Okay. So sales page and email tomorrow. Yeah. You guys love this. I love this. When we take action, like we start stirring things up, things happen. Most of you are aware, and some of you are in our Freedom Income Mastermind group. Like we're stirring things up like this, and people are getting results. It's the coolest thing. We're getting messages every other day now, like, "Oh, I just did it, and we just made this big sale." And I can't remember who. One of them just said they put it out there, went and made dinner, came back, and somebody signed up for their year-long membership while they're making dinner. Just, bam! It's like it's just you're creating like results just by being active. Okay, welcome, set up welcome series funnel by Saturday. Love that. Okay, come on, you guys, keep them coming. I got 5. There's more people in here. Baleen, what's yours? Oh wait, okay. Find a place to post about me on by Saturday. Okay. Baleen, because we love you, can I raise the stakes here? I want you to talk to a potential client before Saturday or Sunday and offer services. And like, it doesn't even matter. Like, walk over to the local store in your town.
The grocery store?
The grocery store. Walk over to any store in your town and be like, "Hey, do you guys have a social media page?" You don't? Oh man, where are you, Alaska? Yeah, everyone needs one of these things. And just try to just offer it. All you're doing is offering. Like, just you gotta offer it, okay? You gotta make an offer. You're gonna make tons of offers. And you might get rejected, but remember, the yes are they're on the other side of many no's, okay? Love this stuff. Okay. Aaron, find 5 contacts of locals that can produce a product that we can potentially sell by the end of the week. Love that. What's do you know what the product is? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Mike, whatever. You do know what the product is? Sorry, Eve. All right. Okay, I'll get it. I'll send it over. We'll get it. We'll get the recording. Darn it. Okay. Like jewelry to go with the logo. Love it. Fantastic. Oh man, there's tons of artisans there. Tons of artisans there that can do that. That's fantastic. Okay, let's see. Diana, going to restructure daily rhythm to manage energy and emotions. Yes, love it. I hope you guys are all taking notes on all this stuff. To manage emotions. Sorry, I'm getting all this down. And energy. Okay, love it. I'm going to write first blog post by 4/27. Okay, Diana, again, because I love you. Why the 27th? Sorry, you guys are not gonna like me, but I'm gonna get things done here. I'm gonna call them out like we're getting things done. Why the 27th instead of the 17th? Okay, Kathleen, I'm going to get in touch with local small business association this afternoon. Find out about business grants. Fantastic. Follow life coach certification course. Not incur more debt. Oh, find a way. Fantastic. Love it, Kathleen. Okay. Love it. Okay. Awesome. Did I miss any? SD, do you have yours in there? I'm sorry. And if I'm stressing you guys, I'm sorry. I know I like to push, and I'm doing it with just so much love. It's like, I'm just gently. Okay. Boom. There you go. I love that. Okay. SD, that's fantastic. Some of you have pain points that have been around for a long, long time. And it's like, now what do I do? And literally start with a list. I love that. I love that. That is beautiful. Okay. And if you want to email me, and I'm just offering you want to email, we can email back and forth about that list and some suggestions, ideas. I'm happy to help with that. I work with that a lot. And that's a fantastic place to start. I love that. Okay. 421. Okay. You guys good? I mean, a few people had to duck out of here because it's over, but you guys want to do the breathing? Okay. Diana, I just barely created the blog today. Okay. Taking action. Still trying to get my days organized. Maybe I could bump it up to 17th. All right. Well, if you just started, you're getting action going. That's wonderful. Your biggest thing, Diana, is just going to be like, just shipping. And it feels, especially when you're just starting out, it feels so nerve-wracking to put anything out there to the public. And you're like, it has to be perfect, because what if there's a typo or I don't say something clear enough? And we get so nervous about like just putting ourselves out there, right? Like Baylene's been hesitating about her About Me page. She's like, oh, I don't want to do this. And Janet doesn't want to turn on live camera because what if she like hiccups on the camera, like, and it's just, it's infuriating, right? It's nerve-wracking, and we drive ourselves crazy. But at some point you're like, you know what? It's out the door is better than perfect. You just got to make it happen. All right. We good? Here we go. You guys want to do a breathing technique? You ready to be a little bit more vulnerable here? Okay. Make sure you're in a place you're not going to fall over, because you could get lightheaded. If you get lightheaded, slow down. Okay. This is the legit stuff. This is all science research based. Best performers, best athletes, they're doing this thing. Tony Robbins has been doing this for years and years and years. He does it very first thing in the morning. This is the first thing he does when he becomes conscious. Okay. But these are things you want to do. And I know Eve, I want you to do this twice a day. And in fact, you can do it more than that, but do it morning and evening. And then anytime you need a pattern interrupter, this is a great time to do it. And anytime you're about to go into something. So Janet, right before you go live, okay? Baylene, right before you post or you're going to contact one of your potential clients, you do it. Stacy, right before you're setting up your marketing and you're going to push an email out, you do the breathing technique, okay? SD, before your SD, I'm going to get that. I promise I'm going to get that. Sorry. SD, like before an interaction, before a conversation, you need to have an important conversation, you do this. Okay. Aaron, you're about to you're meeting with potential clients or whatever. You just do this stuff. Okay. And just set it up. It's powerful. So powerful. So here's what you do. You're going to breathe through your nose if you can. And this is where you're like, you get all embarrassed and afraid you're going to blow some snot rockets or something, but you're breathing through your nose and you're going to breathe in. The first part, we're going to breathe in and then out. And it needs to, you need to hear it. So if there's anybody in the room, they need to hear you doing this. It has to be that forceful, right? So in, you guys can hear me, right? We're going to do that we're going to try to do it for 30 seconds. Now, I promise you, because you're probably not used to it, you're going to get tingly in your lips. You're going to get tingly in your fingers. Don't fall over, okay? I want to see you like dropping off camera there. But you're trying to, it's almost like you're trying to, what you're doing is trying to oxygenate your body. Because this seems ironic because we all are breathing, right? But none of us are getting enough oxygen. We're like chronically under oxygenated, and we need more oxygen to our brains and to our whole bodies. And Wim Hof, that's his name. His name's Wim Hof. He holds all like the human performance records for spending the longest time in frozen water. Like they broke ice. He stuck in there. He stayed in there for over an hour. Got out. He was good. Okay. He went up to the top of Everest in shoes and shorts, no shirt. Okay. No oxygen. Because of these things, the guy, but it's just his breathing techniques. He's just hyper oxygenating his body, and the body, like they do it for healing. I mean, this is amazing. So we're all under oxygenated. Okay, ready? Where do you usually learn stuff about this? Yep, there's books and studies on it. I would just, Kathleen, I'd start I love the Wim Hof one. You can go with that. There's multiple resources, good ones, but I would just say just search breathing techniques or search Wim Hof. Also, I'll write his name in here. So it's just Wim, H-O-F, I think, Wim Hof. You can just search him, watch a couple of videos, but just do a little bit of research on these guys and then practice doing these, okay? And there's a few little variations on it, but usually they do it between 30 seconds up to 2 or 3 minutes once you get used to it. I did it when we were in Nepal. We were about 17,000 feet up, and I did it. You guys, I'm laying on the floor, like, couldn't feel my arms or legs. Like, I felt really great later, but it was crazy. Okay, everyone ready? You do it. So in through your nose and out. Okay, we're going 30 seconds. I'm gonna set a timer here. This is awesome. I love this stuff. Okay, boom, timer, stopwatch, and go. Keep going. Keep going. Come on. Come on, Stacy. Come on, Esty. 18 seconds. More vigor. Come on, Janet. Okay, I'll stop. That was 30 seconds. Okay, how do you feel? Some of you are like, I feel like falling over right now. No, seriously, how do you feel? Like, I feel crazy invigorated. I can literally feel the oxygen in my brain. Okay, that was awesome. Good job, guys. Thanks for that. So now some of you are like, that doesn't help. That doesn't help at all. I feel worse. I feel lightheaded. Not too bad. Okay, yeah, when you're initially doing it, you're gonna feel a little bit lightheaded. You're gonna get tingly in your fingers and stuff. But like right now, I've been doing it for a little bit. I literally can feel the activation in my brain. Like right now, I can feel my brain being oxygenated. It's awesome. Okay, it's a simple thing. It's 30 seconds. You do that twice a day. I promise. In afternoon lulls, when after lunch you're kind of dragging, and you need to send out an email, and you're just like sitting at your desk like this, and you're hunched over, and you're like, oh, I can't do this crap. Do a breathing technique, and it just energizes you again and gets you back going. Okay. Yeah. SD, you're feeling a little bit dizzy. That's totally normal. Okay. Totally normal. So you can start 30 seconds. You can work yourself up to a minute or two, but just do that. Does it matter if you're sitting or lying down? Nope. I've done it lying down. You just lie down, completely open up and do it that way. Most people do it sitting, and then once you get stronger, you can do it standing up. I don't want you to do standing up because you're dizzy and bonk your head or something. But once you're stronger, then you can do it standing up and really do it. You'll see like the great performers, great speakers, guys who are speaking all the time, they literally are doing these crazy breathing exercises before they go on stage. If you're behind the scenes, they'd be back there going, and you're like, what? That's crazy. But they're doing them. And I've seen guys do it on stage. They're like, hey, we got to stop. We got to stop and bring this up. And they'll do it. It's awesome. Super cool. Okay. All right. Cool. Love you guys. Please, if you have any other questions, send them over. Once you do your commitment that you just shared with us here, post it in the Facebook book that you did it. Like you hit it, you're done. Some accountability. And remember, you guys, where there's pain, there's power. Please remember that. Where there's pain, there's power. And where there's been pain for lots of years, there's unbelievable amounts of power and potential. But we got to be proactive about it. We can't just sit back and be bystanders. You need to be the hero of your own story. You can't sit in the bleachers and watch life happen to you. Yeah? We on it? Okay. Let's do this thing. Love you guys. You're awesome. Remember, awesome is always an option. Reach upward.